Man, it was Nick Cook of the Westside Renegades. And Nick, you guys are off to the state tournament. We were just talking about Shady, and I must have hit the wrong button, but that game really kind of was what got jump-started you guys.
Seemed to be, yeah. Like I said, sometimes you can get more out of a loss than you can anything. Right. A win sometimes. You find out what the kids are made of from that point on, you know. So, yeah, I feel like that was one of the turning points for us for sure.
Personnel-wise, you guys have been everybody really understands their role in this team. Start with Kyler, or rather,
Kyler.
Kyler Kennedy.
Yeah.
What's his role in it? What's he bring to the table?
You know, he's just our floor general. You know, Kyler's one of those guys that, you know, Kyler doesn't care if he scores 1 point or 100 points. He goes out and does his job. He gets us in our offenses. He pushes the ball. You know, sets the tempo for us. Defensively, he does a great job guarding the other team's point guard night in, night out. You know, when he's open, he hadn't made a ton of threes this year, but, you know, the kids aggravate him all the time because he's probably the best pregame shooter we have. We're trying to figure out a way that we can get him to play in sandals, because if he's got those sandals on, I tell you what, the kid doesn't miss. But we got to figure out how we can get him to shoot with the shoes on. So, you know, I'm looking at any point for Kyler to have that breakout game. He had kind of have one against Logan. He had like 16, 17 points, I think. You know, so he's perfectly capable of it. You know, it's just a matter of confidence sometimes with Kyler, and he's got to know he's got the green light and can shoot at any time.
Then you've got Austin Bishop, probably one of the best pure shooters in the area. And I know he's added to his game. What does he bring?
Austin's one of our leaders. You know, he probably is one. He might be the best shooter I've ever coached, just as far as pure shooting. You know, when he lets go of the ball, I don't care if it's anywhere on the floor, behind the line especially. It feels like it's going in, and it looks good too. So he can just flat out fill it up. But as far as being a leader, I think is where he's really stepped up the most. You know, he gets the kids in their spots a lot. Him and Caden do a good job of that. Him and Caden's are my two best communicators on the floor, it seems like. So, you know, he's been amazing.
And Bryson Bishop, his brother, twin brother.
Braden,
I'm sorry, we had a big long discussion.
Yeah, listen, we've got a lot of similar names on this team.
It's hard. One of the Bishop boys' names.
Yeah.
I get
Austin, AJ, what?
Braden Bryson.
Yeah,
so,
there you go.
But Braden Bishop.
I have 3 Bradens on my team too.
Yeah, that seems to be a big name in this generation. Right? I don't know.
Yeah.
But he's really kind of come on for you.
He really has.
6 man, he comes out the other night, hits a 3 right off the bench.
I got 2 Bradens that come off the bench. I got Braden Bishop, Braden Waldron. You know, just depending on, you know, who we sub first.
But you don't say Braden.
So, well, sometimes I just let them decide. I'll just yell Braden, go in, and whichever one goes is fine with me. So, you know, but Braden Bishop, you know, he stepped up. I'll tell you, the key for him, I think, is putting the contact lenses in. You know, I noticed he wears glasses around school about towards the end of the season. I said, Braden, do you wear contacts during the game? He said, no. I said, and you don't wear your glasses? He said, no. I said, how's your vision? He said, it's awful. I said, can we start wearing the contacts? And amazingly enough, since he's put those contacts in, 2 straight games in the postseason, he's made a couple threes each game.
Well, hopefully that carries over to the state tournament.
And Braden Waldron's the same thing. Same glasses during school, nothing during the game. I ask him the same question. Do you wear contacts? No. His shooting's improved. It's amazing what good things can happen when you can see.
Boy, that's the truth.
Yeah.
Caden Vance, he's kind of the guy that does everything for rebounds. He can dish out assists. Obviously, he can score.
Caden's probably, you know, he had to make the biggest sacrifice initially whenever I started, I feel like, because, you know, they ran a lot of 5-out motion stuff before I got here, and with Caden, you know, I've kind of made him go a lot to the post because I felt like we needed some sort of post presence. So, you know, Caden took that role on, and, you know, it might have struggled a little bit at the beginning, 2 steps forward, but to get to this point now where he's taken about 50 big steps forward, now I'm not saying he can't go on the perimeter anymore, because he does. I think he made 2 or 3 threes against Mingo the first round of the regionals. But to give us that inside post presence, him and Bryson both together even, both of them had to change a little bit about what they've done on a nightly basis, and both of them have been great about it. You know, but Caden, you know, his footwork has improved so much throughout the season. He's so much more comfortable in the post. he still can do all the things he done on the perimeter, but his inside presence has been really a big difference for us.
How big is his leadership? I mean,
It's huge. Caden's a great leader. Like I said, him and Austin, I think, are our two leaders, especially vocally. And they lead by example. They come in and they go to work every day. Couldn't ask for two better kids to have on the team.
Bryson Blankenship's a guy that started since he got here.
Right.
He's had some injuries, obviously, that slowed him down a little bit, but he really seems like he's coming on down the stretch here at the end of his career.
I think Bryson's saving his best for last this year, for sure. He's just playing with a lot more confidence. I think at the first, especially with playing for me, there's just a little bit of a communication gap there between me and him. We've kind of got it figured out now. What's expected of him, and I was never trying to take him away from what he liked to do, which was primarily be on the perimeter. I want him to still be able to go to the perimeter, but I want him to have be able to go down on the box too. When teams try to guard him with a 6-foot player, he's got to be able to go down there and get us 2 points when we need it, and he started to do that. And Bryson's has been a great kid to coach, great kid to have around.
Colton Lester.
Colton Lester. That's my guy. He whatever I ask him to do, if it's guard the other team's best player, if it's play point guard, if it's play shooting guard, it doesn't matter with Colton. He's like a chameleon. He can do anything, and he'll do it and never question you for a second as to why he's doing it. So kids like Colton, you as a coach, that's who you want to have and build your team around. But he can get he slashes to the basket as good as any kid I've ever coached too. He gets to the basket extremely well. He finishes well. He's got the potential to knock down the 3-point shot. He probably don't shoot it as much as I'd like him to. Sometimes he would rather go to the basket, I feel like, and sometimes he'll pass up an open three to go take a contested 6-footer, and sometimes I wish he'd just go ahead and shoot the three, but Colton's he's our guy as far as whatever we need, Colton will go do it.
Historically speaking, we talked a little bit about in the first interview about the two Waco teams making it down to Charleston. Then you look at the history of both these programs; both have been good. You've been around this program forever. What team that's come out of this program? Which year do you think Westside had its best basketball team?
Well, I mean, I guess we haven't won one as a school yet. So we got to the championship in 05. So you'd have to rank that team right up there with that. But we had kind of little segments from 03 to 05. We had some really good teams. Even 06 and 07 were really good teams too. We got upset in 06 by Mount View, I think, that year. And then in the 07 team, Wyoming East won it that year, and that was a really good team. We were ranked in the top 3 all year long that year,
That's
too.
That's actually the team Kent.
Yeah, and that team from Wyoming East is really good. They lost one game all year long that year, and it was to us. We split with them in the regular season. It's just we didn't have the opportunity to still go. That was the last year before they switched over to having 2 teams possibly make it. That was the year you lost once, you were done. But that 07 team was good. And then you kind of fast forward to starting in 2013. We had a nice little run, 13, 14, 15, 16, all those teams. Probably 14 and 15 right there was our best teams. And then I know we had a good team in 18 with Coach Jenkins that made it to Charleston. But, I guess if you're going to say the best, the 05 team made it the farthest.
Who were some of the standouts on that team?
On the 05 team, you had Robert Repass, who's probably one of the best 6-foot post players I've ever seen in my life. Matt Lester, Sean Clark, Chris Blankenship was on that team, Bryson's dad.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes me feel old, I coached Chris those years, and now I'm coaching his son, so... Kind of my first time I've had to deal with that, where I've coached the dad and the son. So
you got out smartly 10 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. So,
well, what would you have been doing right now? You think if you we weren't coaching, you couldn't have expected.
No,
even in November that I'm going to be coaching the state
or December really. So I would be just doing the driver's ed job and working my land sales like I always do on a lot of weekends. I would be actually on the North Carolina coast right now with my brother and his company. Selling property is what I'll be doing
you might have been
today.
In the Big 12 tournament?
Or Mike Moore's been putting, my buddy Mike Moore, who's a dentist here in town, has been want me to go to the Big 12 tournament with him here lately. So I told him possibly, but then this happened. I said, well, Mike, we're going to have to push that back another year. So Coach Hopkins and Matt Hopkins went with him. I know they're having a great time. So one of these days I'll get to go enjoy that with him.
Are you drawing back on your experiences at getting teams to the state tournament?
Yeah, you
like
do.
You said, between 13, 14, 15, you guys went 3
Right,
in a row.
and we've played this 9:30 game before, so that's kind of gave me a little bit of help and know-how on how to navigate the days leading up to that game and prepare for that, because you don't play very many 9:30 a.m. games throughout the season. So this is a different.
I don't know if they shoot at all.
Right, and that's early, because
But you got to get it in. You gotta
Exactly,
get it in.
it is what it is. So the other team's got to play at the same time you got to play. So, but you don't play very many games at that time. So I don't know the proper way to do it, but at least we have been through it and know kind of a little bit of what to expect and what worked, what didn't work. So we'll navigate the best we can and see what happens, I guess.
A little word association involving your players, your starters. Now, if you could think back on maybe a player that's come through the school that player would resemble. I'll go just over your starters here, starting with, let's just go with Caden Vance.
Caden Vance, just naturally you think of his versatility. He's a big, strong, physical kid, but he can also go out and handle it. He's the quarterback, so naturally the first person that comes in mind is Justin Koger. And that's, to compare somebody to Justin Koger is a testament to Caden Vance, because his name's at the top of a lot of statistical categories at this school for a reason. He was a great player. So I would probably compare Caden to Justin, maybe.
Which is a really good.
That's about as big. It's about as big a compliment as I can give you a kid is to compare him to Justin Koger or a Corey Bowles or a Will Fox all those players.
But I think that's a good one on him.
Yeah.
How about a big kid like Bryson Blankenship?
Probably a kid I didn't coach, actually. I coached him as a sophomore, but like a Corey Hatfield that played for Coach Jenkins by the time he was a senior.
He was about a 6'8"
he was kind of a finesse player. Could step out and shoot the three, but could kind of go in and get some points in the paint too when you needed him to. So maybe somebody like that.
Austin Bishop.
Austin Bishop. I don't know. I mean, like I said, Austin's just a pure shooter. Think about a kid I coached like a Dylan Newsom. I remember Dylan could just flat out fill it up from the perimeter. I'm not saying he couldn't score from the inside, but you give him a choice of a three or a layup, they're going to take that three every time.
That's kind of Austin.
That's kind of how Austin is. He'd much rather stay on the perimeter, and that's fine. I'm not saying that's bad, and especially if you can shoot it like Austin can, that's pretty good.
And because you guys are a well-rounded team, no real standout scorer. You don't have a 20-point scorer, but you got 4 guys in double figures. A guy like Colton Lester.
Colton's a tough one. I don't know who I would compare Colton to. I mean, he's like a glue guy. I'm like I said, I don't know if his game really is like a JK that played for me. But the way he'll just go out there and do whatever you ask him to do, and that's kind of how JK was. Not necessarily maybe plays like JK, but Colton don't care. You tell like I said, whatever job you give him, he's gonna go out there and give you 120% on that job. And that's always kind of how JK was for us. He whatever it was, whether it was guarding the other team's best player, going out scoring 20 points, going out having 10 assists and 2 points, as long as the team won, that's all that mattered.
And then Kyler Kennedy, I think, is the other.
Kyler, I think back to my early years, we had a point guard, Marcus Gunner. I remember played with Chris Blankenship and Kyle Lusk and all those guys.
On the 05 team?
Yeah, and he's just steady. He just ran the show, guarded the other team's point guard, just methodically got us in our offenses, didn't really mess up no mistakes. So maybe somebody like that.
Has it been fun for you?
I've had a blast this year. I really have. I was hesitant at first and didn't know, but I'm glad I did it, and I'm glad these kids have let me do it and allowed me to do it.
Did it help that you already had you knew all these kids anyway?
I did. I'm in the school every day with them anyway, so yeah, it did help definitely, because it'd have been tough to go in not knowing any of them at all. Now I didn't know them at the level I know them now, naturally, but I did know them and had had casual conversations with them in the school.
Is this the funnest year you've had as a coach?
No, I don't know about fun. They're all fun. Listen, winning's fun. So, but as far as
you helped that percentage a little bit, didn't you?
Yeah, I guess
brought
so.
it up a little bit.
Yeah. So, but it's been extremely gratifying watching them, because they were so hungry to win and to get this opportunity to go to Charleston. To watch them, to watch how they're handling everything now, and watch this community get behind these kids, and just to see their faces light up like it has. It's.
But I think that Kent and Rory both are probably going to be there for the Hall, at least for a little while.
Right.
For you have already stated you've got other things
Right.
going on,
Yeah, this
and
is-
the
this is
lane
it for
development
me.
is
Yeah.
is one of those.
Right.
There's no chance that you will come back and coach.
No, I've already
no
turned,
matter
I've
what
already,
the result.
Yeah, no, I mean, win, lose, or draw. I've already turned my letter of resignation in for the end of the month. You know, I told them I would do it for this 1 year and 1 year only. I still have young girls. I still like to coach the young kids right now. That's what I've been doing the last couple of years. My daughter Lindsay loves to play. I don't know if my other daughter Taylor, she's going right now. She's kind of big into cheerleading, but we'll see. She says she wants to play basketball too. So, you know, and I
Well, you
feel
can do
and
both.
exactly. And I had a little travel team this year, and I feel so bad about them because you know we were going around playing in some tournaments, and then I started doing this, and I've kind of had to put that a little bit on the back burner. But that group of parents I have and those girls, they're extremely understanding, and I told them, you know, once we get done here, we'll start back up again. So, you know, just got to finish this out with these boys, and then we'll get fired back up again. So, so long story short, this is it for me. I'm done again.
All right. Hey, Nick, it's been great having you back. It's kind of like a little bit of throwback to about 12 years ago.
Yeah, with me and Rory, and you know, Kent was around even back then too when Coach Lester was at Wyoming East. I think Kent helped him a year. Him and Rory were the assistants when I was first took over as the head coach. So, you know, it's
when you walk on that court, it's 2 days short of being exactly 10 years to the day the last time you walked off.
wow, it's crazy. It's hard to believe it's been 10 years.
Hey, Nick, I always appreciate it, and we'll see you in Charleston.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate you.